muy malo. Roto el pato de vestuario. La interpretación siempre negativa. Siempre negativa. Nunca positiva.
Welcome to Siempre Positivo, the podcast that lasts longer than it takes Barcelona to score 4 goals at the Metropolitano. I'm Sam Marsden, joined by Rik Sharma and Tony Juan Marti. Rik, how are you?
Doing well. Enjoyed the game on the weekend. Obviously difficult to all be free at the same time on Monday to get the pod done, so that's why we're on Tuesday. But yeah, looking forward to discussing it.
Yeah, apologies for the delay. I'm sure there were ganas for the podcast after such a huge 4-2 win for Barca away at Atletico on Sunday, but as Rik says, travelling back from the game, etc., different scheduling issues forced us to delay it until Tuesday morning. Hopefully we can put up a comeback as good as Barca's on Sunday to salvage the Monday podcast. Tony, ¿qué tal?
Good morning. Fine, yeah, everything's fine. Nothing special. Normally I'm a little bit too high or a little bit too low, but as Chesney would say, today not too high, not too low. So quite relaxed, quite balanced.
Tony Locks.
What?
Tony Locks. You ever heard the story Goldilocks?
No, what's that?
It's like an English, not fairy tale, but like an English kid story about this girl who goes into this house belonging to some bears, and she sits on the Dada Bear's chair, and it's too tall, and then she sits on the Mama Bear's chair, and it's too low, and then she sits on the Baby Bear's chair, and it's just right, and today you're just right, and so on.
Yeah, exactly. More or less, it would be this.
Yeah,
yes.
I see Tony looking very, very relaxed, very sort of calm this morning, which isn't always the case.
It looks dangerous, but it's not dangerous.
Right, let's rewind 36 hours then, which is half of which should be the difference between games being played in different competitions for teams. And to a remarkable night in Madrid on Sunday, which saw Barcelona reaffirm their title credentials as they came from 2-0 down to lead 4-2 against Atlético Madrid for the second time in 3 weeks. This time, however, unlike in the Copa del Rey semi-final first leg at the Olympic Stadium, that was how it ended. A 4-2 win, which seemed impossible when that man Alexander Sørloth scored again for the 6th successive game against Barcelona, making it 2-0 to Atletico with just 20 minutes to go after Julian Alvarez had opened the scoring on the stroke of half-time. But Robert Lewandowski scored a brilliant goal, and the timing of his goal so soon after Sørloth breathed life back into Barca. Substitute Ferran Torres added the equaliser, and Lamine Yamal's deflected effort in stoppage time won the game for Barcelona, although there was still time for Shark Ferran to add his second and Barca's fourth for a win that took Barcelona back to the top of the table, level on points with Real Madrid, but with a game in hand, and Atletico Madrid now 4 points back from the Clásico duo. Rik, let's start at the end with the positivo of this game and the great comeback.
Yeah, it was sensational, and to be honest, a little unexpected. I think in the first half, Barca played within themselves, but maybe that was the clue. Maybe the clue was in the first half they were conserving energy a bit, and they weren't going for it because of what had happened in the previous 2 games with the sort of late goals conceded. Sørloth 96, and then I think it was Llorente 84 and Sørloth either 92 or 93 in the 4-all. So Barca had the gas in their tank at the end of this game, unlike in the other 2 games, and it paid dividends. So, yeah, great. I think it was absolutely crucial win for the league. Obviously, the league's not won, but Barca are in a very, very nice position now with the game in hand against Osasuna still to play, which looks like it could be played as early as next week, although I'm sure there'll be some back and forth on that. We'll see how that goes. So I think that Barca couldn't have asked for more from this week as a whole, winning in the Champions League. Atletico and Real Madrid going 120 minutes, although obviously international breaks coming, but still, every minute it adds up at this point of the season, and that's partly why Madrid were whinging so much, as you referred to in the intro. We're talking about the 36 hours as they were complaining about the 72-hour gap they didn't get ahead of their Villarreal game. So yeah, great week for Barca, capped with a brilliant win.
I was going to come to this a little bit later, but obviously you've just said the league has not been won. Tony, you have a new pinned tweet on your Twitter profile. Tony Juan Martí, in my opinion, Hansi Flick's Barcelona today became the champions of LaLiga 2024-2025. It may not age well, this tweet. Will it age well?
Well, first of all, I want to remind that I was the first that thought that Barca was not going to win the Liga when they had.
You also called it after the Las Palmas game when Barca beat Las Palmas away. Yeah. You said
not after the Las Palmas game, before the Las Palmas game. You said if Barca win the Las Palmas game, basically if they're top of the league this weekend, then they win the league.
That's true, but it's fair to say that months ago I didn't expect Madrid to drop this amount of points. So I'm not going to say I said it. No, but I prefer to change my opinion in time instead of only for my ego keeping saying that they are not going to win La Liga. And now I'm convinced that Barca is the champion of La Liga for sure. Some weeks ago when we said about this game of Las Palmas that the one who was on top after this double ties with Madrid and all these things was going to be the champion. And Barca is going to be the champion for me 100%, no? Because the game that Barca did in Metropolitano was not really good game, to be honest. But when you still play bad or compete bad and you are able to score 4 goals against one of the toughest teams in La Liga and you still have this extra shot against Osasuna, and also Madrid still alive in Champions, so they are going to drop points also. And Atletico, you are potentially 7 points away. So, yes, I think that there are some points always along one season that are key, that drive you into the success or into the success or into the fail. And Barca has turned to get always in the last 3 break points into the succeed point. So for me, these are signals, because when things go bad, you still are alive. Imagine when things go well. So yeah, mentality of champion, fitness of champion, quality of champion, fresh legs of champion, hungry of champion. For me, yes, 100%. It's going to be this league for Barca.
Tony, I'll come back to you on those points about the hunger and the fitness, especially in relation to the Atletico game. But Rick, just while we're talking about the setup and the way things are at the top of the table, what's the boldest you're willing to be? Obviously, Barca do now have that margin for error that people often say, we don't have any margin for error. Barca do have margin for error. They could lose one game. They could even lose the Clásico as long as it's not more than 3-0, and still win La Liga. Would you like to call between Barca and Madrid? Would you rule Atletico Madrid out? How bold can you be?
Atletico is borderline because they're 4 points behind, but that's 7 points if Barca win that game in hand, which is a lot with only 10 games to go. So I think Atletico are on the cusp. If they drop a single point net, they're out of the league. And some would say they're out of it already, especially with the sort of morale blow they suffered with what happened in the Champions League, and then the way that Barca came back and basically did what Atletico did to them on Atletico in this game. In terms of Real Madrid, I think it's way harder to call. I think Barca are a better team than Real Madrid this season. I think that's difficult to argue with. But because there's the Clásico and because there's the Champions League still, which obviously Madrid is still in as well, so we have to see how that goes. But it increases the potential for problems, like injuries, for example, like Iñigo Martínez out for a couple of weeks, Casadó out for the rest of the season. There's too many variables that could change, which aren't in Barca's control.
Just short parenthesis, please.
Yeah.
Regarding Iñigo, no one wants to publish it, but everybody knows that he was not wishing to go to the national team. Okay, so we have to make it clear that there is no injury. Maximum, and I have big doubts on it, maximum he will lose the game against Osasuna if they finally play. But he's fine to play.
That's good news for Barca, yeah. But it's more rather than that injury in particular, it's more the idea that I'm speaking about. Like, anything could happen in the next 3 or 4 weeks that could potentially jeopardize. Imagine Lamine Yamal gets a hamstring injury, is out for a month. then who's favourite to win the league? Barcelona, Madrid? I'd probably say Madrid. That's how fine the margin is.
Imagine if your grandma had wheels.
Exactly.
Well, that's what you're asking me. You're asking me about hypothetical. So I'm giving you hypothetical things that could happen.
Yeah, good point. Tony, let's return to the Atletico Madrid game, because like you say, Barca weren't at their best. Rick touched on perhaps the fact that they were perhaps sort of not taking it easy in the first half, but perhaps conserving energy or waiting a little bit for the second half, perhaps because of what had happened against Atletico previously, perhaps because of the fact that Atletico had gone 120 minutes midweek and they knew they would tire. They still had chances in the first half. Lewandowski hit the woodwork, Lamine Yamal hit the woodwork. It is true, Pedri and Rafinha, I thought, weren't at their best, and that's not necessarily a criticism. It's more just, how good they have been this season. They weren't quite at those levels in the first half, but yeah, something changed once that Sorloth goal went in. Tony, what was the drive behind Barca's victory here for you? Was it the quality? Was it the fitness? Was it something else? Was it the substitutes from Hansi Flick? Obviously, Ferran came on and scored twice. Eric Garcia came on for Casadó, who, as Rick mentioned, is injured and probably going to miss the rest of the season.
No, for me, I would say three keys. No, the first key, the mentality. Time ago, you would have lost it because you would have not believed that you still could make a comeback. No, so this team has changed the fear, the question, what if we don't win, for the what if we win again. No, thinking in positive. No, not playing with fear, with the pressure that there was in the last years when the club was not working, and you can feel it for sure. Second point, for me, I wouldn't say no. Yes, the fitness. No, because at the end, when we talk about fitness, it's not that if you are better physically, you are going to make the difference in the 20 minutes. No, being fine fit in terms of fitness is being able to make the difference in the 93rd minute or in the 85, because nowadays top teams are always prepared to resist. It's not about every team has 20 lives, but if you are trying to destroy the rock, croc, maybe during the first 70 minutes you don't feel nothing. You feel, hey, they are quite good, croc, but on the 93rd minute you see that last sprint of Samulino or that last help of Gallagher is not that sharp, and then Lamine has these 3 meters to shot. So fitness makes a difference, but not during the 70 minutes. No, the difference is only a detail in the last minute when you are a little bit tired, the opponent is a little bit tired, and you still are fresh enough to think. That's the difference in the Elite. And the last point for me, yes, the luck, no, because try the good luck that you had, because it's also counting. Imagine what we would be saying in case it would have ended 2-2. No, LaLiga is a thriller. Who is the favorite? Everybody is on the right place, 50-50 between Barça and Madrid, because without these 2 points, Madrid would be now the leader, and you would be forced to win against Osasuna, no? So we would be making different conclusions. That shot of Lamine Yamal was totally luck. That goal of Lewandowski or Ferrantes is not luck. Being clinical is not luck, it's quality to finish. But that goal of Lamine, yes, is good luck, and it's totally key. It's key because you destroy Atletico in the battle for La Liga. It's key because you have now margin of error against Osasuna, and it's key because the mentality, the self-confidence of this team after this win is 20 times bigger, as we saw after the game. So yes, it's also part of luck that you make a shot, touches Gallagher, and then it goes into the goal. You also need good luck.
Yeah, definitely. And to add to 2 more answers to the sort of question Sam asked about the sort of way the comeback happened after the second goal, for me, there's an element of the handbrake being taken off at 2-0, because at 1-0, but it still felt like Barca felt they could lose the game, like the game could get away from them, and it would go to 2-0, and then they would have lost.
You can't die twice.
You can't die twice. At 2-0, they were like, well, we've lost now, let's go for it.
Exactly, also, yes.
And I think it's very hard to say how much it had an influence, but I think it was a factor. I think the anger they had after the second goal at the handball by Rodrigo de Paul played into them scoring so quickly, because they used that anger to attack. The way they attacked was like visibly angry. Like Iñigo with the ball charging forward was furious at what had happened, that they'd given the second goal when Rodrigo de Paul handled it in the build-up, like a fairly long time before the goal went in. So it's debatable whether it should have been cancelled or not, but that definitely inspired him to charge up the pitch and just smash the ball into the box for Lewandowski.
Yeah, also I would say that this first goal of Lewandowski was totally key, because in case Atletico had 5 minutes to process, to ¿cómo se dice? Digerir?
Digest.
I would say sort of consolidate as well, to sort of consolidate that
consolidate
sort of
the second goal. Then I think you're out, because the game would have gone frozen, changes of Simeone, you would have been desperate.
He wanted to bring Jimenez on even earlier than he did.
Yeah, exactly. You would have been attacking with rush, with no patience. So that goal of Lewandowski was in fact more important than the second one or the third even.
I have to give massive credit to Lewandowski for it, because, I mean, Iñigo just lumps it into the box. Like, he charges forward and then just like, he looks at other good options to pass and decides, I'm just going to smash it into the box, see what happens. Lewandowski, out of nowhere, turns into a sort of Erling Haaland-like figure to control the ball and swivel and shoot. It's not the Lewandowski we've seen in the last few months.
Lewandowski does have that, though. There's a bit sort of late-era Luis Suarez vibes, where you know if he's on the pitch. Like, his finishes in the Clásico as well at the Bernabeu were really good as well, sort of not from nowhere, but like you say, he's been missing chances perhaps more than you would expect in certain games, but he still does have those moments in him. I was going to make that point that Tony made as well, although I was a bit sceptic of making it after digging Rick out for a grandma bicycle comment. I was going to say, if Lewandowski doesn't score that goal, I don't think the comeback happens, because like Tony said, it was just so key that it came so quickly, and it was just like boom, it was just like a massive boost for Barca to be back within one goal and having taken the handbrake off, and it was like a massive blow for Atletico to having not consolidated that goal, and then having still over sort of 15 minutes to go, having gone 120 minutes in midweek. You could almost see sort of like I wouldn't say fear, but you could almost see they were like, oh God, here we go.
What do you think about the anger element? Because what if there hadn't been a handball by Rodrigo de Paul? It was just a really nice Atletico goal. Like, Atletico just outplayed Barca, and they were all just like, oh, we're letting the second goal. Rather than, what the hell, ref, come on, you got to cancel that. They didn't deserve the second goal.
I don't know, I didn't really pick up on it at the time. I didn't have replays there. I couldn't really see what was going on. And I got a replay up on my laptop, but I didn't go back to because it just showed the goal. I saw people on the Discord were saying that they were appealing for a handball, but I couldn't see when it was or where it was or what had happened.
It was very blatant.
I think I could see Araujo. Araujo was on, because he hadn't come on at that point, but he was down talking to the fourth official. And I did see players around the referee, but I wasn't exactly sure. I didn't pick up on that anger element at the time.
It was properly allowed, the goal, because after that handball, Barca recovers the ball and then loses the ball again. So the action starts again. So with well done for the referee. It was legal, totally legal goal of Atletico.
Yeah. Well done for the referee for not getting the rules wrong eventually, but it was quite an obvious handball in the first place that he should have whistled for.
Yeah.
But
well, this is just quick, Sam. I want to make a friendly reminder that I have been saying that I am worried because this style will kill us in a game of Champions League. I'm really afraid, because that was a perfect example. If in Europe, with these high risks that you are taking, Mbappe or Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern catches you with this style, you will be finished, because you are not. I know that you made a comeback against Madrid in Super Cup, but I think that you need to compete a little bit different in K games in Champions League. Otherwise, I feel that it's going to be coin in the air against other teams. And coin in the air means 50% only of chances of qualifying.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, Tony. I think you're right. I think they could come up against a team and it could unfold. But I actually think, look at the body of evidence. The comeback against Atletico Madrid twice now. I know they drew the other one 4-4, but to go 2-0 down and to come back to 4-2, to come back to 4-2 again. The Supercopa final, the comeback against Benfica in the 5-4. When they went to Dortmund in the first game, I know they were never trailing, but they Dortmund came back to level twice and they still got the winner. Bayern came back to level and they went again because at 1-0 against Bayern they were actually buying more.
No. Don't lie yourself. Take a look to the game against Bayern. Take a look.
Yeah,
it was totally resultado engañoso. Don't analyze because of the result.
You can analyze because but a lot of the Bayern things came from when they were 1-0 down and they deservedly equalised. But then from there, Barca battered Bayern again as well. They were sort of like, as Rik showed with those momentum graphs. Obviously, there are teams like your stats and chances can be deceiving. Obviously, teams are going to attack, and obviously you don't want to give up chances. But if you're 2-0 down, obviously a team's going to be attacking and creating what was only 1-0 at a time. But yeah, I mean, the body of evidence in Barca's big games is in their favour. And I also kind of think that, and I know fans may have a different viewpoint, that if they get to the semi-final and they do happen to lose to Bayern or Inter because they play this way, then so be it. What they've done this season has far exceeded expectations. It's been great fun. The games have been amazing. I mean, I know I don't want to turn it into a meme where people are like, oh, Real Madrid have won the Champions League, but Barca will always have the comeback at Benfica and stuff. But in terms of what Barca have done this season, the games and how much fun they've been, that's the risk that I think is worth taking now.
Yeah. No. This is another debate. I think we discussed about it, no? What's more important? The fun that every week supporters are having?
The journey.
Or the journey or the title? For me, for sure, the title. In my opinion, the way I like to compete. I mean, I don't give a fuck if it was fun or not. For me, the fun is the triumph, the victory. So I cannot say the journey. No, the journey, if I take a train and the train is really beautiful with good landscapes and there is snow in the window, but at the end this train crashes, I don't enjoy nothing because my memories are in the cemetery.
Yeah. It is true. It is true. And eventually this Barca side does have to win trophies. But I think just in terms of the expectations of this season, and even though we've spoken about, they obviously do have to be adjusted based on the position they are in now, how good Rafinha, Pedri, Lamine Yamal, etc. have been, where their standing is in world football right now. Obviously the expectations are adjusted, but I just think in terms of this season, and yeah, depending what happens, has already borderline been above expectations in terms of what we'd have said at the start of the season. I don't know if we said Barca have to win a trophy. Does winning a Copa make a difference for them to be competing for the title going into the final stretch of the season, for them to be Champions League quarter-final, big favourites to make a semi-final, etc., to be playing the way they're playing, the goals they've scored, top scorers in Europe, etc., is good. I mean, obviously it will all feel like nothing if Real Madrid were to win especially, I mean, I guess Barca fans could almost sort of forgive not winning anything if it didn't come with another Real Madrid sort of Champions League, as that debate we had with Tony on the Q&A a few weeks ago. That's where it sort of is now. But to even be in that position right now where you can sort of talk about that, for me, is a success based on the uncertainty going into the season with Flick. And what we were asking, or what I was certainly looking for from Barca, was, you know, bring these players through, get them established in the team, keep Pedri fit, take Rafinha to the next level, etc. Kubasi, Lamine Yamal, and that's been achieved.
I still disagree with the concept Tony had on that pod, which was if you would not sign for it every season, then it can't be a good season now. Because I think it can be a good season now that Barca win La Liga and Madrid win the Champions League. But you wouldn't sign for it every season, but it can be a good season for this season when you started the season saying that Barca would everyone was saying, especially Tony, as he said on this pod, would not win La Liga.
Yeah, I don't think any of us thought Barcelona would win La Liga this year. Not that they've won it yet, but that they would even be so close going into the final 10 games. What would be favourites going into the final 10, 11 games?
And don't forget that biggest part of last games are going to be played in Montjuic. I think I don't have the data here, but it's like 7 out 11 or something like this are going.
Well, after the international break, Barca have 4 games in a row, 4 games in 9 days at Montjuic, right?
So 4 of the next 5.
Sorry, no, it's not. I was thinking of all competitions, but it's not Dortmund. It's the Copa first, and so they go Osasuna at home, Girona at home in the league, then Atletico away, Copa del Rey semi-final, then Betis at home.
Which in fact doesn't mean nothing because Barca has had, I think, more defeats away than at home. At home than away. This league, I think, so doesn't mean nothing to play at home.
But I mean, it feels like that was the defeats were all bunched together in the same phase of the season as well. Obviously, they're now 18 games unbeaten in 2025.
And it matters for the travel. At this point in the season with so many games, I think it matters not to have to travel so much. It's nice.
El titular te lo pongo yo. Enjoy football. Y ya está.
Rik has touched on it. I don't know if we've touched on it properly, but just to mention not official yet, but Barca have confirmed Casadó has a knee ligament injury, looking like he will definitely miss the rest of the season. He came into the team against Atletico because Frenkie de Jong had a very sort of minor knock, nothing to rule him out of the Netherlands duty this week. They play Spain in the UEFA Nations League, which brings us on to Rick's ratings.
Not a very good segue. What's the link?
Huh?
What's the link?
Just the link was just I just had it written down before the ratings, and even though I touched on it earlier, I just wanted to reaffirm the point in case anyone had missed the news about Marc Casadó.
All right. Speaking of Marc Casadó, we'll rate Marc Casadó out of 10. And we'll start, of course, with Szczęsny, 6. Koundé, 6. Kubasi, 6. Iñigo, 5, despite his assist for Lewandowski. Not a great game from Iñigo. Balde, 5, also below his recent level. Casadó, 4.5, probably, I think his season has gone, as I said to you on WhatsApp, from more to less quite quickly. But
Rick didn't waste any time to start slagging off Casadó's season once he was ruled out for the rest of the season, the poor guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Just, it seems like his role, and maybe this is a too much of a reaction to the second half of the season, and maybe after a pre-season and building again and coming back stronger, maybe it won't be the case, but he seems like someone who could be useful, but not as a starter for long periods of Barca. Pedri, 7 out of 10. Dani Olmo, 6 out of 10. Yamal, 8 out of 10. Lewandowski, I've given him a 7, mainly for his goal, because before his goal, he wasn't very good. Rafinha, 6 out of 10, very quiet, but did set up Ferran Torres' header, which is nice. Shark, 9.5 out of 10. Fantastic from the Shark. Came on, scored 2 great goals. What more do you want?
Yeah. Eric Garcia came on at the same time as the Shark. We could be seeing a lot more of him now. Casadó's out as sort of like that backup DM.
Yeah, it's true. I guess you could say the game swung heavily in Barca's favour when he was on the pitch, but to be honest, I didn't notice him too much.
On Rafinha as well, I just wanted to say, I meant to say it earlier when Tony commented on the fitness and the running, etc. Mainly just because I'm plugging a piece that I wrote last week, but just because for the Ferran Torres goal, in the 98th minute, it was still down to absolutely sort of like intense running and pressing from Rafinha to win the ball back, even at 3-2, even in the 98th minute. And that's sort of like, when you look into the numbers of Barcelona's season, like he has the numbers in terms of the goals and assists, which are remarkable, near 50 in all competitions now, goal contributions, but also he leads the team in sort of sprints, high-speed sprints, etc. And that was another example of what he brings to the team, even if, as I've said, as you've just said there in the ratings, it perhaps wasn't his best night with the ball. What he offers Barca off the ball is still so important.
Es fácil de contestar. Si ves la lista, los convocados, ¿qué hay que hacerlo? Jugar tiki-taki, donde hay no espacio. Yo creo que hemos hecho que tuvimos que hacer.
Just to finish then, just something we've touched on a little bit during this episode. On Monday, there was also news that Barcelona's postponed game against Osasuna, the game which was postponed a couple of weeks ago because of the death of first-team doctor Carlos Miñaro, has been rescheduled for Thursday, March the 28th. Which is sort of the back end of the international break. Neither Barca nor Osasuna want to play it then. Barca have appealed against the decision to play it then. Both clubs are kind of tentatively waiting to see what happens with Barca in the Copa del Rey and the Champions League to see if another date opens up for them to play it. If not, they would have preferred to play it between the final 2 games of the season when there is a free midweek at the end of May between game 37 and game 38. But as it stands in just over a week, Barca are going to be back at Montjuic playing against Osasuna. They then play Girona at home on the Sunday. They go to Atlético Madrid in the Copa del Rey on the Wednesday. And then on the Saturday, they have Betis at home. So you're looking at 3 games in 4 games in 9 days. But perhaps more importantly, that Osasuna game, because it comes at the back end of the international break, it's going to be a little bit broken, the preparation in terms of which players are available. You'd have to presume that neither Rafinha nor Araujo would be able to play that game on a Thursday night. Araujo plays Tuesday night European time in Bolivia, so he could potentially be back in Barcelona, on the Wednesday. But to play in Bolivia and then to sort of fly back on the Wednesday and play on the Thursday for Barcelona seems completely irresponsible. Rafinha plays even later. He plays sort of Wednesday AM European time for Brazil against Argentina. A huge game for Brazil. The only thing is he could potentially be suspended if he gets booked against Colombia. So that's one to keep an eye on. But you'd have to imagine neither of those would be available. Spain under 21s, guys that could maybe fill out the squad. Gerard Martin, Fermin Lopez, Pablo Torre. They also play Tuesday night. Can they play Tuesday, Thursday? 48 hours. Luckily, a lot of the players will be back by Monday. All the Spain players, Kubasi, Pedri, Olmo, Lamine Yamal, Ferran Torres, they play Thursday, Sunday with Spain, as does Jules Koundé with France, as does De Jong with the Netherlands. Lewandowski plays Monday with Poland. So you will have a lot of the squad back. In what sort of shape, etc. It depends what sort of, if there's any injuries picked up in the international break. The only players who are fit and guaranteed to be in Barcelona ahead of that game are Chesney, Peña, Balde, Eric Garcia, Gavi, Ansu Fati and Pau Victor. I'm surprised, I mentioned this on the Discord, Osasuna are so against the game being played that day as well, because obviously they're not in the same situation with internationals. I know as things stand, they're supposed to play Athletic on the Friday, but it'd be quite easy for LaLiga to move that to the Sunday or the Monday. Rick, do you expect this game to go ahead on the Thursday, the 28th of March?
Yeah, I think it probably will. I think
your initial reaction to me before I told you about the internationals was that's the perfect date.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking of it from my own perspective, which is I hate having to write every time I write any match report of Real Madrid, Atletico or Barca have a game in hand, or having played one less game. I like it when they've all played the same amount of games. It makes the league nice, the running nice, very clear. Do
you think the game can go ahead without Rafinha and Ronaldo Araujo? It completely adulterates the competition. Imagine if it goes ahead without them and Barca lose.
I mean, it's not ideal, but at the end of the day, Barca wanted their game postponed for a very good reason, and it was. But the game could have been played that day. Like that's the day it was scheduled.
But there is a free week at the end of the season.
No way.
But what if maybe you need to keep it? What if there's another reason that they have to move the game?
No way. It's Barca's fault not to have played that game. No, why Barca has to play this game without these two players? No way. I'm so sorry. It's not the best solution, I know, but Barca cannot play the game without these two players. No, not at all. No, not at all. It's impossible. They have to find another solution. They can move all the scheduled games and find different solutions. But having to play without two players, it's not fair. Not at all. No, it's not Barca's fault.
Yeah. I mean, you can't play a game without. Yeah. I mean, especially Rafinha, the form he's been in. Araujo, like you said, depends. Maybe he wouldn't have.
Well, yeah, no, I don't think the form matters. I think in terms of whether the game should be played or not, it's to do with whether. Who gets to decide? Can the league unilaterally decide the game gets played that day? And I think in terms of Osasuna, I think their complaints are not very strong, if you see what I mean. I think, like you say, they probably don't mind the game going ahead, but they probably do need to be seen to be not happy with the game on Friday being moved. So any of their fans that have bought tickets to go to sort of hotels or flights or whatever to go to Bilbao or coach, I guess is the way they travel up there between those cities. They obviously would be out of pocket if the game gets moved, so they can't be seen to be like, yeah, okay, fine, that's fine, let's go, because those fans would not be happy. But I don't think they mind too much. Yeah.
The decision was made by a judge on Monday, and both teams had 48 hours to contest the decision. Both teams have contested the decision. Well, Barca have confirmed to me that they have contested the decision. I've read that Osasuna have as well. I haven't confirmed with them myself.
What do you mean judge? Like not a court judge, like the judge of competitions or something?
The judge of the competitions at the federation, yeah.
Just some bloke.
It wasn't a LaLiga decision, yeah.
Some old guy.
Tony, any idea on the timeline for this, when we can expect? I mean, LaLiga still haven't announced officially. There's been the statement from the federation saying the judges ruled that the game should take place on this day. It's up to LaLiga to pick the hour. LaLiga haven't named the hour. I guess Barca and Osasuna are fighting it. Any idea on the timeline? Because obviously people need to know if this game's going to be played next Thursday. People need to know pretty soon.
Good question. I don't know what's going to happen. I would say that the game is not going to be played. I would say that the game is going to be postponed. I think they are going to find another solution.
I am surprised they didn't wait to see. I guess the Copa del Rey. It's annoying because the Copa del Rey semi-finals so far ahead of not until April. Although we're halfway through March, to be fair. But I wondered if they'd wait to see if Barca got to the Copa del Rey final or not, because that weekend they could obviously play it if they didn't get there, because no teams are playing that weekend apart from the final.
Yeah, let's see what happens. My view is you can't play that game without Rafinha, because if Barca drop points without having their full team available, it's a story that's going to be sort of, I don't know what the word is, not adulterate necessarily, but it's going to be it's not going to go away, is it? The talking point that they were forced to play on this Thursday without internationals. So we'll see what happens. Right, we'll be back later this week with a Q&A and more stuff to come over on the Patreon during the international break as we gear up towards the final stretch of the season with Barcelona live in all 3 competitions. Stay positive.